Programmer gid ma trigger okay ka nga studio la tasilse ma obong gila Randy mahal bak ngol sa Randy edo mo ula la tasilse Randy.
Okay, malungi tasil sel marbek adro gulo Mr. Tiang ra EPFM Eco Paradise tiang togubet sel shorgid al sil se spy the ling nga tiang mal togubet sel gester gid en dia kal ngarang ka mga tmok kertial the wheel ra drong led gid makwa ma plur amerikel en nga mal kura togubet sel program al adong tmok ngi mang sokal dingul morse gid mo kunya tiang sel do mo dong ina sing Guam Palau state partnership palo ngela National Guard Rablu Ramirigel ma luaisay kuradingun morsegide ng atyang alobengeda tengah kaldaiktor yorgid al niya President Surangal Whips Jr. Direkal ng atyang alobengeda Honorable Governor Rablu Rakwam al Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero His Excellency Ambassador Balura Miguel niya Ambassador Yoel Ehrenreich madirekal ngel Senior Enlisted Advisor mora ngel Chibra National Guard Balura Miguel niya Tony Whitehead direkal ngatang lawang ngel Adjutant General Colonel Mike Cruz Guam National Guard. Okay, malway say tingin mo sa gid payo idamay gel mom sanga at nga director gid ambol ko welcome gid lo ay sa gid direct gid to kubet sa program malungil litasil sila ko kawe director yo
man misulang Randy malungil odosong to kubet sa susir gid mora rugul belaw mar masil belaw mar bek other belaw kida elal tutaw ra 3 o'clock ikadam lara amayong mlot makaloban ra Governor Guam, Mereda National Guard Guam, saying a state partnership program, sel Babiel wal uli selurior. Di kotulang mal marunong artelo ngel Ambassador Ablu Rambrigel, Joel Ehrenreich, ma kalom tera ngel General Hokanan, ngia sera February al buil en tuwa el rak etira wablol el kanger tiagid el partnership ng mori gal special envoy Whitehead ang gaya erin ngartiang ergirel tial ceremony mong era muna Washington DC me holding ergid of course Governor Aquama tial luriora actually ngun muringi sera to temora Aquama 2021 en mal mina dorgid rase gida de malitial programa igabla lo mur liqra blulad kama madari kalau pernah mengursel dulu kama ahuri ping dia dulu lo bengkela abalur belau mamle proses agirel girel moram rigel emla kangeringin monmong temla kongi mau ulang marmam male der rakaruri ula egidam celebrate tel sil sending mal marmo dong artel lo seb el momrek tel uror mom ase de lo tautri of course amre der National Guard Guam General Cruz gaya artel om ter sel uror Guam Gida mo sa tial National Guard tiang trial reserve solda ngaringi loror mesel ko mo ya kaisa mrong lang medical mission sige ko patokol kakaro sa activity tira top dal mel nga se orgida mo patokol kakaro sa field along sa orgida mang el silseng amoria te leather mengsa al direct al beklad andi aklo to trial bado ngalia tia pesel al lurior al gida mablurat قامت مع المقرية إمرالو التوير تيال كمان الدلويل الجيدة مع الأدرى يجاليون سرا أتاي هيو عندي تقوبت سعاني سلويل دلويل الجيدة مع أدرى قام نغاري أدرى قام المغرور بيلا وتمر بيلا تيا باي الموت مليسي إرسي جدا الدلويل الجيدة مدين سيل بوريا تايفون معنا كتغين سيل مونغ يمي مقدور دروخ هذا المونغ تيرو دروخ دريل مي tiang adil mut meskita te almal boni wa yeder kaisa mrun matir mo mabya tertir or dorok ra adil me di tegal reserves ngara igal bekkel badangela trang tin la urior mo seguida ba sin mo aisen ir al merida mo akmo igal tor belaw de tegadi mom lo tor amri igel maradra blu au sin mom dangel toy but on behalf of the people of Palau just want to say I wanted to share with our audience in Palauan exactly what the state partnership is all about but I want you to have that opportunity to share with us in English. But first of all, just it's really a great day, one of those days that we need to celebrate our relationship between the United States and the people of Guam. Governor, it's just great to have you here, and of course, Ambassador Aaron Dreit, General Cruz, and Envoy Whitehead. We're celebrating because this is something that has been in the works for a while. And I shared with everyone, I know when I first got on board, the governor said, we need to do this. And I said, well, we follow your leadership. And finally, we got all the approvals back in February. So we're here today to celebrate and really, I think, begin a new chapter in this relationship that creates a lot of opportunities for our people, but continuing to help each other in that Pacific way, right? Caring for each other, helping each other, building each other up, and most importantly, being prepared and keeping our Indo-Pacific free and open, and ensuring that our values, our democratic values, remain strong. So, really, thank you for being here this afternoon to be able to share with the people of Palau and our friends on Guam about what's happening with this partnership and what we're doing together. So, thank you, Rondi.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so you are the senior enlisted advisor to the Chief of the National Guard.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that position? What does that position mean? What does SEA mean?
So as a senior enlisted advisor to the Chief of the National Guard, I represent the over 360,000 enlisted men and women, both Army and Air, and I advise him on the health, morale, welfare, and training initiatives for our enlisted force and how we get after doing those things to prepare us, not only for training for natural disasters, but to go to war if at all possible.
All right. And so this is the Guam State Partnership Program. Guam Palau State Partnership Program. Tell us a little bit about this program and how this will benefit both countries.
Well, I tell you what. First, I'd like to say, and you've got a very cool radio name. But to the president, sir, I can't thank you enough for the hospitality that we've received since we've been here, and the folks in Palau have been amazing. They've made us feel like not only was this the right choice, but this is a great place to come back to for me personally. So I definitely want to say that to Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, and ma'am, the folks of Guam have helped to make this a awesome transition. But the state partnership program started over 30 years ago, and it was born out of when the Soviet bloc it changed. It fell, and then they wanted to make sure that those countries who wanted to stand on their own, it was about independence and interdependence. We're not going in to try to change things for them, but want to make sure that those things that were important to them, the values that were important to them, the security that they wanted for their own country and culture, where we could help them to preserve that. Wow. And that's one of the things that's happening here today, or did happen today, with the signing between Palau and the Guam National Guard. Not just about military. We talk about things like law enforcement, working with the hospitals, working with the infrastructure of the cities, as well as what you mentioned earlier today, sir, with cyber, because I think it's extremely important. And it's one of those things that we see happening around the globe, and it's going to be important to the survivability of everyone.
Right.
But the unique thing about this partnership with Guam and Palau is that there is a shared culture and ancestry, a history that's been here for a long time, which makes it more personal to them than most partnerships that we've had. And so we're excited about it, and we look forward to see what's going to happen as a result of it.
Wow. All right. That's amazing. So does that mean that the National Guard can come into Palau and help us during storms? Like, what does that entail?
It does. And interestingly enough, we've got some guardsmen who are part of the Guam National Guard who are Palau. They live here, they work here, their families are here, and they come over and they drill in Guam. And so we definitely will support them. And as you probably heard today, if you didn't, between the governor and the president, some of the things that are already in place that they have been doing for years, now we see those things happening more often now with support.
All right, that's great. Okay, and another thing with the National Guard is the recruitment for the National Guard is usually on Guam. So does that mean that there will be possibilities of recruitments here in Palau, or?
I got to tell you again, you have an amazing relationship between Palau and Guam, where recruitment has already been taking place from the Guam National Guard over in Palau for years. We were privileged today to have both a soldier and an airman who are active in the military that are part of the Guam National Guard and Washington National Guard that were here for the ceremony today.
All right, that's great. All right, and we also have the Adjutant General Colonel Mike Cruz, who's from the Guam National Guard as well. So, can you tell us a little bit about the state partnership, and also what previous places have you worked with? Because I heard you guys worked with Philippines as well.
First off, I'd like to thank Your Excellency the President and certainly the Ambassador for this opportunity to be here. Palau was one of my most favorite places in the world. My wife and I, every time we come here, we always wonder why it took us so long to get back. And she was just here last week as well for another meeting that took place. So it's not only beautiful, but I think your push to keep your ecology the way it is and maintaining that is so important to all of us in the Pacific specifically. And so we certainly commend that, and it's something that we would love to try to do even back in Guam. We'll leave the governor to deal with that issue. Yes, we've had a state partnership with the state of Hawaii with the Philippines since 2001. And it consists mostly of exchanges, training, and exercises in areas of territorial defense, border security, cybersecurity, leadership development, engineering, and medical. And so we're hoping that the same type of exchanges and training can take place here as well. As you know, Palau does not have a military, and so we're envisioning a whole of government, a whole of community approach specifically. One of the things that, for example, was Staff Sergeant Adelbai, who's our aircraft mechanic, who's actually of Palau as well. She is an aircraft mechanic for our aviation detachment. And we think that it would be a great consideration, certainly on our part, to be able to help Palau with maybe establishing some kind of aviation to help with your border security. And you know, it's a great aviation frame that we have on Guam with the Lakota helicopters, and we think this would be a place to be able to look at eventually. So, yeah.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about how the National Guard has really helped Guam? I know that, you know, the National Guard can also come in and help us during disasters. Can you tell us a little bit about the benefits that Guam has received from having the National Guard there?
So there are 54 National Guards that in all the different 50 states and 4 territories. Guam actually has the second smallest guard in the nation, and also the youngest guard in the nation. So we think we play a vital role in our community. We always say that it's not just the National Guard, it's Guam's Guard. And so just as an example, during the COVID response, Mr. President, as you had mentioned earlier, we were a large part of helping deliver the care that was needed during that particular time. Most recently, which was about a year ago this June, was our response to Typhoon Mawar. We helped with cleanup, we helped with traffic control points. Immediately after the storm, we were able to deploy our soldiers to deal with the human recovery and the emergency response that was needed to take place to try to save lives and property.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So with that said, I guess, Governor, you have to tell us about your past visits to Palau, because I think you know that Palau and Guam has such a long history together. How would you define Palau and Guam's relationship right now?
Well, first of all, I just want to also thank the Department of Defense National Guard Bureau for this great moment of official ceremonial agreement, which now makes it official that we are, although that we are state partners, but although we have been partners for many years, dates way back to, for me, my experience in the 70s, and I'm sure sooner than that. You know, we came from the same maritime Southeast Asia, and so we have a lot of commonalities, but throughout the Pacific Island nations, to include, of course, Palau as one of the most significant island nations, we have been working in the area of healthcare with Palau. We had the American Pacific Nurse Leaders Conference, which was established in 1973. And these are leaders in nursing throughout all the island nations: Palau, Pohnpei, RMI, Yap, Coast Rai, uh, and of course Chuuk. And it's leaders in the nursing field, in the healthcare, that have gone from island to island to island, helping the healthcare resources. And so, one of the major things that was passed throughout these islands is the Nurse Practice Act, which allowed the islands to have a mandate of standards of nursing practice. And that continues on. Then, of course, and General Mike Cruz knows this, the Associate Pacific Island legislators were under the same concept as the American Pacific Nurse Leaders, developed that. And we also went island to island, and we shared policies. We shared laws that continue to uplift the quality of life of all our people in the islands. And Palau was certainly very, very influential in that one also. And then we have the Pacific Island Development Bank, and this is a consortium of the same island nations that bring financial access to all the islands to improve their economy and to give them some financial means to open their businesses, to build their homes, to buy necessary goods. So that's another area that we see. And then, of course, the Micronesian Islands Forum, which is now all the heads of states that have been in place, I think, since the 90s, I believe. And this is a forum where we discuss challenges among our islands, like transportation, challenges of climate change, challenges of workforce development, challenges of connectivity and digitalization. And so there is not just this agreement that we've just signed. There has been a long history of official organizations, official kinds of consortiums that help each other in the South, in the North Pacific. And of course, we all know the Pacific Island Forum, which is for both North and South Pacific, which is a very, I think, very recognized Pacific Islands leadership through the White House. And so much so that United States President Biden had held the first Pacific Summit 2 years ago, which brought all the leaders together. And so, it's again, how can we all work together among ourselves, and also with the help and the support of the United States. And these are just some of the examples. But more than that, I think we share cultures very much. We love to socialize. We love to
Dance.
stories. Yes. We love to eat. We love to dance. We love to, we share, right?
Yeah.
And we empathize with each other. We know, when there's a disaster that's happened in Palau, whether it's the erosion of soils or in any of the islands, we feel for them because we also know how it is, and as a result of that, we go way out of our way to help our neighbors and our island brothers and sisters. And I really love that. I love that about our culture. I love that about our Pacific Islanders. And when I come to these islands, I feel very much at home. This is like friendship, love, family, That's what it's all about, right? How to improve our family's life, how to improve our quality of life, and how do we each other help in light of limited resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the president said something about you being very instrumental in starting this state partnership. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, at that time it was Adjutant General Esther Agigi, and she was coming back from a sister partnership with the Philippines. They do exercises and drills there, and we were talking about how we could maybe help our area, and we started talking about that. And then, of course, when I met, I said, hey, maybe we'll start in Palau. And when I approached it to the president, he also was very agreeable, and so through also the leadership of General Cruz, he pushed it through, getting the approvals of the higher ups, and I don't think it was that difficult, right, to approve. It was like, hey, everybody, maybe it's just the bureaucracy that took long, but I think everybody
You're right.
agreed.
They
Everybody agreed that it was a great diplomatic gesture on the United States and also between our islands. Yeah.
All right,
Exciting, huh?
yeah, it's
You
very
think,
exciting.
Oh, an idea has come, and then 3 years later, it's
Finally
realized.
realized.
real,
Yeah, that's great, and I think this is really important. But I want to ask this very heavy question, and I understand that the National Guard is really a reserve as well for also war. And this is a heavy topic because people don't like to, wish of war or anything. So, knock on wood for sure. Thank goodness our table is wood. But in terms of war, how will the National Guard help Palauans during this, if something happens like that? And how does the National Guard prepare each country for that sort of thing?
Mike?
So you know that the National Guard of the United States actually has 3 missions. One is a federal mission, and that is the wartime fight that is called up when the President of the United States decides that he needs that. In fact, there's probably no large-scale war that our nation fights this. It cannot do it without the National Guard.
Correct.
Both the Army and Air. And then we have a state mission, and this is during peacetime. This is for disaster response and others. And our Governor Leon Guerrero, is the commander-in-chief during the state mission. In addition, we have a community mission. And so why we think this is an important relationship, and why this partnership is a little bit different, quite frankly, in my opinion, than a partnership with Kansas and Oman or something like that, is because our partnership is with our neighbor, our family, our brothers and sisters that live in the Pacific. In addition, we have in terms of the geopolitics of this region here, we're both second island chain island and second
Yeah.
island chain nation.
Yeah.
In addition, we have a first island chain nation partner that's in the Philippines.
Philippines, yeah.
And so our past has always been tied to Palau for thousands of years. We think that our futures will be the same. We, as an island and as a country, have lived through what we call a tyranny of distance to CONUS, that being a continental United States. But now there appears to be a luxury of proximity. This luxury is a proximity to Asia. But we feel on Guam, certainly, and hopefully with Mr. President, that luxury shouldn't just be one of a military nature,
Right.
but should be one of an economic nature,
Right.
should be one of a religious, cultural, social nature as well. And so as we share in that, and hopefully with this coming together in this partnership, that the possibility of war within the Pacific is lessened because the neighborhood is becoming stronger.
All right.
Yeah, and with the president talking about deterrence this morning, I think that was extremely important. And it won't just be about the National Guard when it comes to the protection of Palau. In this Indo-Pacific region, we've got the total armed forces that are here through Hawaii and spearheading what happens here. So it won't be a plan that's going to be in place just for Guam and Palau. It'll be about protecting the entire Indo-Pacific region.
The entire Indo-Pacific, and
one-
I see that too, and I see that too as like, we didn't have a plan, and without these partnerships, you don't have a plan. And when that sort of thing happens, and this is real questions that me and my friends were asking, like, hey, what if it happens? Do you know where you're gonna go tomorrow? Like, you know what? I really have no clue. I'm just gonna follow whoever's gonna say go this way. I'm gonna go this way, but we really don't have a plan. And I see this as sort of a really good way to at least have something solid to fall on to.
Oh, and I was sharing with SEA Whitehead earlier today that we had the opportunity of going to Peleliu with the Secretary of the Navy and listening to a Marine just share what he had read and what he understood about Peleliu. And one of the things that I think for me was really an eye-opener was the fact that he shared that the highest casualty battle that's ever been fought was in Peleliu. And of course, what we don't ever want to see in any of the islands is war. We all experienced it. Our grandparents experienced it. And it was a difficult time, and we never want to go there again. And I think one of the things that we try to help people understand is that when you're not prepared, you're vulnerable. And really what the Guard is all about is being prepared to deter, right? And at the end of the day, that's what you want to be able to do. And I think that's what we want to help our people understand, that it's, there's this, we're escalating, we're creating more risk, but actually what we're doing is we're deterring. It's like, the police officers shouldn't have guns. Well, the guns is not for them to shoot everybody. The gun's there to make sure that we can maintain peace and order. That's the purpose. And I think that's what we need to help people understand. It's not about bringing war to our islands. It's actually about keeping it out.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what the Guard helps us do.
Yeah. I totally agree with President Whips.
Yeah.
I know in Guam we are doing a huge military buildup. And one of the things that was hit home for me was when, Admiral Aquilino from Indo-PACOM had said to me, and also Admiral Nicholson, that during World War II, the U.S. was not prepared. They were not prepared to defend our island, and not prepared, like the president said, to defend this part of the Pacific. And they all told me that the U.S. now is in the posture of it's not going to happen again. And so that's why there's a lot of attention and a lot of preparation, a lot of activity, a lot of exercises out here. And I understand Palau would also be part of those exercises, is because we are all in agreement that preparation and planning is the most logical and the most reasonable way to protect our people. And I agree with the president when he said it's a deterrence, and I know that the United States is working towards more diplomatic agreements and more peace through diplomacy and democracy, and of course that's what we want and not war. But you cannot turn a blind eye to say, okay, we will not bring in the missile defense agencies. We will not have a presence in, Palau. We will not encourage and work with our Pacific Islands to be part of this preparation. So, very key, I think.
And I think that's a great point that you're bringing too, because the biggest question is, how do you balance the two without affecting so much of our culture? And Guam and Palau Guam especially has gone through that criticism as well.
Yes.
Regarding, is this going to affect our culture? Is this going to affect our lives and the people now? But
Yeah, and I just want to say, Juan, on that note, I don't experience negative militarization in Guam. I do not. There are federal rules and federal laws that the U.S. has to follow, and they follow it very stringently. And the development of Camp Bloss, when they were clearing plants, they took indigenous plants and reforestated it at another section, respecting the culture of the people. When there are artifacts or burial sites that have been unearthed as a result, the construction stops. They come and analyze and study, and then they preserve in place. And they even redesign their plans to avoid that area and provide sacred monuments in that. So. The United States, the military, at least in my administration, has shown that kind of sensitivity to the culture and to the people, yet realizing that it has to happen in order for us to continue being protected, right, and preparing and all that. So you're absolutely right. It's a fine balance between protecting the culture, the language, and so forth to militarization. And so sometimes, you know, the word militarization is a negative word for people. But, you know, Commandant Berger has said to me that the whole attitude now of military is changing, and it's now more culture sensitive. You know, I have always said from the very beginning that we support military buildup and we welcome them, but we have these conditions.
Yeah.
You are to protect our environment, our culture, our people. We are your host, and you are visitors to our communities, and we expect to abide by that. And I have not seen anything different. You know.
All right, thank you, Governor. And we're very fortunate as well. We have Ambassador Aaron Drake, who's here for Ambassador of the U.S. to Palau. And so how will we continue those, like if there's rules that we need to follow, how will the U.S. Embassy sort of enforce those and also kind of help us with the connection with the United States?
Thank you, Randy. First of all, Ungil Otosang, Ungil afternoon.
All right.
It's really a pleasure to be with all of you here today. I want to start by echoing what President Whips said about just how important this is. This really is a significant moment for U.S.-Palau relations. These state partnership programs are not something that just happens every day, all the time, everywhere. We average about 2 new programs a year, and this is the first one in the Pacific Islands region since 2021. So this is really a sign of how important Palau is to the United States and to Guam as a neighbor, but to the United States as a partner in the region and as 2 Pacific nations. It's also, I think, symbolic of the momentum in the U.S.-Palau relationship. We just signed the COFA, finalized the COFA just over a month ago. We've had some high-level VIP visitors. The U.S. Marine Pacific Forces commander was here just a couple of days ago. Secretary Del Toro, the Navy Secretary, was here, and we've had some high-level State Department visitors. The Mercy ships were here, all that. It's really more evidence of a great relationship addressing the issues that we were just talking about: regional stability, regional security, disaster preparedness, helping each other to prevent things like cyber attacks and all of that. So you asked, how is this going to play out, practically moving ahead? The U.S. Embassy will play the coordinator role. So together with the Guam National Guard, we will talk to the government of Palau and say, what are your needs? How can we set up programs, training, or other in advance to address what Palau wants that it doesn't have, because it doesn't have its own National Guard program. And then we will also, in advance, talk about what are we going to do in a disaster? What role will the Guam National Guard play in Palau in responding to a typhoon or something like that? I'm really excited that this is taking place. I think the governor was talking about the second line change, the general. I really think Guam, Palau, maybe if you talk about the Northern Marianas too, I've coined a new phrase. It's the 1.5 island chain. It really is closer to, I think, some of the regional tensions than when you talk about others in the second island chain and the importance, the significance of Palau's geostrategic positioning. I think is really starting to come into focus.
All right, thank you so much for that, Ambassador. Mr. President, tamalo ay say en ngoraswa del kokurangan niya mul koringi luaseng close to telela al ngaringi tiay del el murabulur belaw mal kloa a benefit del dongoringi sel momeser tiang omeseng bakatertel el dongot mokringi yung wangarang atetelel tiay del programa el dongot mokringi dom gela bulurang Guam.
Dia randia wal dilulel. Of course, ang mayelo ko kabno na iga batukal dalwil kida ngaradron kida mar adra Guam mar adra American. Tia di mutel dalela tara dalwil ma tara ate alla rangaseu sel sing kida mot murap kaisa murungon malubeng ngania adub al mera abelwat. Dire kan meskit ser te alla el dagainga seura igel el maybe ngale tu dirgidre la nga ospe anges wal giren. Mang seguid el te alla dagal oro lo bantrir el smisi abelwat. Idregal, of course, Smisi akta karang ila igal balwada rogui. Mang close to trela ada celebrate trela alsil so aseng tara igel kadogora ulmorro usini toy dendi eder ragram na memo kad milsa adoni elam la motoy el alsil sem la motoy.
I see.
Emral wagel lo ambasador tiang matora kampak ya adiolo hotel selo ase kida atmak el blue e gasabak le kaugareu e gainga seura igel rogul el kotrul kirirar
I see.
kada mot mokra adar belal o sigira ungir tir matsir kiel malmol mal kiel ngarabuda mot mokla klangar tir mutia din mutus misi isegid te alal merigit
Ruba tia ma modingin lo sing abela wa tia kalmal betoka soldaringi.
maisi
Mangkuradit talgibel moringa di sira solda ka dokuram la mumtak to se tia ngarang klel ngarang klel nganya kurak mungal meral mei e waitegi del mulkoringi lo kura wasing gira del dibl oil el klagar el gira la ngidil to kura kais amrungolo kam koral muktul smoothie segi del deswe.
ndia sel cloutu trela waigel gulgol sa gulgol to gram merigit kada abelau sel do mesara rexiri der kadam langar al sera magamat in fact ablu rablilio sel magamat am rablilio amle gotal ngarbaba idisira adal madaril lidoi sira adal magamat ma amla daria gotal ngarbaba yidil magamat am langar ira blulat migida gumra lo asa ula kada gotam le bikra tokora compact ma tokora wadub mangaranga tegal suadal mutel mo mala swara ye dia mengaria bebira time memori selul de suadro ase tegal tokol suadal almei tegal ula makamada mera blumam dia ka bai sedro kada pa misni moda kida ala kada qalt mokla en bai ula makamada meso is brabluat ya bai da qalt mok len ngaria msisi lon ngase orgid e kada sel bakla
I see.
of course kita wasera da dim gadung kada mal dingar abu meng alburi sa de gariro la babos wala alburi sa de la ba yel boes el la polo mo sararat alburi sa ulo ngara bosir a make sure ada la lak em gadung yang arabu do meng se dro mesri wai seguida metial al tira me exercise ra blur belau emru la yel exercise awil toy le alboni ap kaisa mru qalt mokol mesobak lid
I see.
sea gumra lo hacen en cloutu trelmo ser uxia del mesal tara angas mergida ya sen mem tedriga mo tawdod medriga no sunira age hisar yida mo ngari sege de luk vital saidani indi medriga gira dro ai so ase ayimlara amayo re lang nara tewal ngal yada ngarse el oredit tangara ngar alsela national guard lo ro rakwam ngar bela ma tianga diriga luk mo provida tokol te ala el morana ngal yada waigel lo logora wala el altam te recruiter ngal yada ala ortil matabai ngartiang exercise emrula bebira urol hopefully gadu traklam singa moria kalel ser moria national guard dergida ya gira de urol gira laige
mal swaq se lo gorin la sing dia kadil el magmadang mal batog el mutel bebira awngil el toya longot mo korgid el girel especially gid el molokol wasing girel a disaster ma ulong ser gidra tokora health awrul ma gid
infrastructure
mal batog bay loli si o el rulid mo kada mom si el blue el girel gid tokoy so mal masulang atilang. Okay, so with that said, I want to thank Colonel General, Governor, the SEA, and of course Ambassador Aaron Drake for joining us for this wonderful talk, just to introduce the program as well. But I'm hoping that this won't be the last time we'll see you guys here. Yeah, I think this is the beginning of many visits to Palau, so we can continue to work together as partners. So thank you for that. Presidente.
Thank you. Komsulang. Susi's Masi, right?
Siju Usmaasi.
We are stronger together, is
Yes,
what I like to say. So that's really what this partnership is all about,
Yeah.
is being stronger together. And
All right.
I just want to say that we are family. That's what family does. We share, we work together to ensure that we have a free and open Indo-Pacific and our people can be prosperous and live in peace. So, really. Thank you.
All right. So with that said, thank you all for joining us for this talk show. And again, thank you to our friends from Guam. Siju Usmaasi, like the president just said. Thank you. Akom sulang.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Back to you, Spider.
Kaysa kita ulang pangalan la talk show kita dali tasil sa logip tel edition po 9 EPFM marami kita in stereo. E malungil Monday, marapek lahat.